Hi, I'm Bill Pickett with Larson, Griffey & Pickett Law Firm here in the Yakima Valley, and today we're going to talk about insurance. Pros, cons, the good and the bad, and yes, the ugly. We'll talk about insurance and all there is to it. What's the purpose of insurance? And I think in this country, where we have so much regulation, so many laws that actually require us to have insurance in certain settings. The easiest example is automobiles, right? State of Washington, if you're going to drive an automobile, the law says you've got to have insurance. Interesting thing about it is we all think that the insurance is about us, right? It protects us, protects assets in the event that we cause some harm to another person. We should really think about that a little bit, because the origins of insurance, it's not about protecting us. First and foremost, it's about protecting other people to the very best of our ability when we as human beings make a mistake, right? We cause an accident or we cause harm to someone else. That's the first purpose for having insurance. And put it just in the context of an automobile. You're driving a very large vehicle at a high rate of speed, sometimes passing within inches of other vehicles going in opposite directions at a high rate of speed. And unfortunately, terrible things sometimes do happen because we're human. And when that happens, if you have adequate insurance, the people who are injured or people who lose their lives in certain situations, you as the person involved in that have some ability to step up and to do your very best to make it right. That's the first purpose. The other purpose is, yes, we are trying to be responsible, and if you have assets, it's incredibly important that you have adequate insurance that covers for making mistakes, for accidents, for things where people get hurt. And if you took just in the automobile context, I see one of the things that's a huge problem in our area of the country is people don't carry what's called which would be uninsured motorist, or UIM, uninsured motorist or uninsured motorist protection. That comes with every auto policy, and there are oftentimes where people are persuaded by their agent, oh, you don't need that. You don't need that. Well, wrong. You absolutely need or UIM coverage, because there are so many people driving vehicles who aren't following the law. And specifically, they're not insuring their cars. And or UIM insurance is there in the event you have a terrible mishap, accident, collision with another driver, and that other driver has zero insurance. And that is a growing and significant problem in our area of the country. What do I do when I'm in an accident with somebody who does not have insurance? Right? It happens, and it happens every day in our valley. One of the ways you've got to protect yourself from that is you've got to have coverage, an insurance coverage in your policy. It will be uninsured motorist, or UIM, it's sometimes called. And that is your protection. If you or a loved one are involved in a collision with another driver who ends up having no insurance. That's a crime, number one, but it happens frequently. And that's how you protect yourself. You're essentially insuring yourself and your loved ones against those drivers who don't follow the law. And it's important. And it's something that you want to make sure is always in your automobile policy, and you want the amounts of that coverage to be exactly the same as your own liability protection. That is, if you cause an accident, your liability insurance comes into effect to protect you and to provide relief for the person who's injured. In addition to that, UIM coverage, it should never be less. It should always be equal to that, because what you don't want to do is insure other people at a high level, but not yourself. Doesn't make any sense. And so those levels should always be equal, and it's vitally important, especially in the world we live in today, knowing that some people are going to break the law and they're not going to insure their vehicles, and they're going to be on the road and they will be involved in collisions. So be smart, take the proper steps, and be careful. Typically, personal injury lawyers, when you're representing an injured person, right, there's sort of a myth and a bit of a fantasy that the personal injury lawyer is looking to go around the country and bankrupt people anytime they have an accident or they cause a collision, whether it be auto-related or premises liability if somebody's injured in your home or on your property. And this lawyer is out there skulking the world looking to bankrupt people. That's not the case. In fact, it's not the case. What personal injury lawyers are looking to do is to find compensation for the person who's been injured in a way to give that injured person some relief, pay medical bills or lost wages, or some of the emotional trauma that comes with a significant injury that changes somebody's life. And that primarily comes through insurance. And the personal injury lawyer is looking for insurance coverage that is set up for this one sole function: to provide compensation in the event of a catastrophe. The difficulty comes in where insurance companies, who are profit-driven and profit-motivated entities, want to elevate profit over taking care of claims. And that's not okay. And so there's always a tug of war there between the plaintiff's injury lawyer, who's seeking compensation from an insurance company, not seeking to bankrupt the person, but seeking compensation from their insurance company to pay for a claim for which the insurance was originally purchased. And that is to take care of harms that happen. And getting insurance companies to step up, to do the right thing, and to provide the relief for which the money was paid to begin with is no small task. It's no small task. And the job of the personal injury lawyer is to make sure that the companies who provide protection to people who pay insurance premiums, to have that peace of mind, that protection. The job of the plaintiff's lawyer is to make sure that they do what they promise to do, right? And that is take care of the claim and to do it fairly and appropriately and lawfully. I see multiple examples of catastrophic injuries, either death or, permanent brain injuries to people, loss of limbs. The worst of the worst, right? And you'll see it oftentimes in a variety of different settings. I mean, it may be an automobile collision. There's so much of that. Or it'll be something that people know is not lawful, not up to code, risky, but people take risks, and somebody ends up dead or injured. See it in boating. Boating's another big one. Automobiles, boats, anytime where you put motor vehicles around people, sometimes people will take risk, and unfortunately bad things can happen, and they do happen. Worst scenarios are when you find out that the person who was involved in a collision, for example, and there's a person who is seriously injured, hundreds of thousands of dollars in medical expenses from the initial incident, and hundreds of thousands of dollars expected to need to be paid out over the time for future care. And you find out that the person who was careless, the person who wasn't as careful as they should have been, the person who should have done something differently, has no insurance. They have nothing. That is a tragedy that is played out way too often. And it goes back to the original thinking that why do you purchase insurance? You don't purchase it just to protect yourself. You purchase it in the event you are careless, and it protects other people. And when there is no insurance, the person who's injured is really left on an island with no protection. And oftentimes, who pays the tab for that when people don't have insurance and that insurance company there's no insurance company to step up and take care of a catastrophic loss? Who pays for that? We all do. We all do. All of us who pay into Medicare, Medicaid, state assistance programs, every single one of us pay that bill when people don't adequately protect with their own insurance. You think that through. Is that fair? No, it's not. So I would encourage people with regard to insurance. It's not just about protecting yourself. It's about protecting others from our own mishaps. And every one of us, we're human beings. We are human beings, and we make mistakes. And that's why we buy that insurance, so that other people can be taken care of in the event that something terrible happens. And that burden is not put on society as a whole. It's on the proper entity. That is the insurance company, that is their business. That is what they engage in. Medical insurance is ever increasingly important in our country, in the world, period. Because as the rising cost of medical care escalates. There's a whole slew of factors that drive that. One being a shortage of doctors, period. And that's a whole separate discussion about how important it is that we actually talk to our legislators to make sure that residency programs are actually expanded, not contracted, because we need more doctors, period. Aside from that, though, health insurance is critical for people because every single one of us as a human being, we deal with a whole variety of ailments, right, that come up from simply living life. Colds, flus, viruses, you got your run-of-the-mill sicknesses, and then you got things that are really catastrophic. Cancer, leukemia, lifelong problems that people need care for, and it costs money. So health insurance is a critical aspect that everybody should try to actually have as good of coverage for health insurance as they can get, because I've seen so many times people, and I see it just really in the limited arena of injury, people don't have health insurance and they're involved in a terrible incident with catastrophic injury. And instead of having an insurance company that provides good quality health insurance, they're forced onto a state system because the bills are so catastrophic. And that perpetuates itself into a cycle of almost despair, is actually what it results in. When people cannot pay their medical bills because they don't have adequate coverage, the first thing they do is they stop getting the care, right? Then when they desperately need it, they're forced onto some state-funded system that basically tells the physician, surgeon, doctor, nurse, facility that's caring for them, we know that service you just gave to that person, we know it costs $100 for you to do that. This is an example. But we're going to reimburse you $14.95 because we can. That's a dysfunctional, messed up system that only leads to worse care for people in their most desperate time of need. And that has to be fixed and addressed. The problem is the worst potential solution provider for getting adequate health care to people, the worst possible solution is to ask the government to do it. The government engages in it, guaranteed. One thing's guaranteed for sure. It'll be messed up. So there are private entities, right? And yep, some of them are profit-driven, profit motivated, but they have an incentive to provide the very best service. So I think we're in a quandary now, though, where people don't have adequate insurance. We somehow falsely believe it's the government that'll fix that problem for us, and the problem's only getting worse. Life insurance is critical, especially for people with young families, right? Because if you're the gist is your life is abruptly ended, right? And the support, not just love and affection, but the monetary support that you are hoping to provide for family is cut off, right? There's not a lot of people who have died who are able to get up in the morning and go to work and produce income for families. So the whole concept of life insurance is to try to cover for those losses that a family has to live with if somebody when somebody passes away. And it's important that everybody, this is much like in the automobile context or the health insurance context, the life insurance industry should be about protecting those people, loved ones, family members who are left behind after you pass, and they no longer have access to your ability to help them because you're gone. And it's that simple. It's not any more complicated than that. So should people have life insurance? Of course they should. Absolutely. And it's with the intended purpose of making sure that if they die unexpectedly and they have children or a spouse that need them, there is some monetary help to get them through that period of transition, which will inevitably happen when a life is cut short. There is a period of mourning, of significant change, and a need to redirect after somebody's life has been lost. And though the money from life insurance enables your loved ones to do that, and to do it in a way that doesn't increase with stress over monetary issues. That's the reason. That's the reason and the purpose for life insurance. You're injured, whether it be automobile or some other event that causes significant injury to you or a loved one. And you've got insurance, right? You got automobile insurance or homeowners insurance, or you've got health insurance to assist with the medical bills. Or let's take a scenario where somebody's lost their life and there's life insurance to pay to help compensate for that loss, right? And the insurance company refuses to pay. What do you do? What do you do? Most people that I've spoken with over the years, when they find themselves in that place, first thing that they're stunned. They're stunned. They're surprised that here's a claim, there's an injury, there's insurance. What's happening here? Why? And you can be involved in an endless cycle of asking a question as to why and getting a rote response from the insurance company that doesn't answer the question but comes up with another excuse and yet another excuse and another excuse for why a righteous, legitimate, lawful claim isn't being paid. And when you find yourself in that scenario, first and foremost, stop. Contact a lawyer who knows how to deal with insurance companies who refuse to pay lawful claims. And make no mistake, it happens every day in this country, where millions and millions of dollars that should be paid to claimants, to people who have bought the policies, who have made the requests, who need the help, where those claims are denied. And your odds, there's no guarantee, but your odds of getting your claim paid increase when you seek out a lawyer's assistance, and specifically a lawyer that knows how to deal with insurance companies. Period. I've seen it over and over again, and you cannot have a life full of endless questions without answers, right? Because as an insured, somebody who has got the coverage, somebody who's paid for that with premium dollars, hard-earned money to get that protection, to get that coverage, you deserve answers. You deserve the coverage. And sometimes, right, you've got to get a lawyer to help you ensure that the insurance company follows through on the promises they made you when they took your money. And that's what we do. And we do it every day. So when you talk about insurance, one of the things that always pops into my mind, I think about the John Grisham novel or the movie Rainmaker, right? I think Matt Damon played the wannabe young lawyer. He got his first client as a young guy named Donnie Black, whose mother came to seek out assistance because they had bought a policy of health insurance from a scoundrel company. Little Donnie got sick with leukemia. He was getting sicker and sicker, and his mother was requesting coverage so that she could get her son treatment to save his life. And if you watch that movie, you'll see at the end of the movie the insurance company refused. In fact, sent the mother a letter asking her, saying, this is the last time we're going to deny your claim. Are you stupid? And it was a seminal moment in the movie when Matt Damon's character, this young lawyer, gets into trial, and he basically forces this insurance company to do the right thing with this huge verdict. Insurance company ends up filing bankruptcy because this mom, whose son eventually died, sought to hold them accountable. That's the worst side of insurance, right? Where they deny righteous, lawful claims. Insurance companies, contrary to that Hollywood theme, which is not always off the mark, but oftentimes insurance companies do the right thing. They do pay claims, and in those instances, you don't need a lawyer. You don't need an attorney to get involved, but you should never assume they're gonna do the right thing, right? You should cautiously, optimistically be hopeful that they do, but when they don't answer your questions, when they don't pay the claims they should pay, you need a lawyer to step in and make things right. Because that lawyer is the person who will lay down the law to that insurance company. And more importantly, if push comes to shove, they'll back it up. And insurance companies know that. So if you're ever in a situation where an insurer fails to do the right thing, contact a lawyer. Contact our office. Tell us you need help. Make them do the right thing. A question that I get frequently: is insurance a scam? And no. First and foremost, no, it's not a scam. It's not a scam. Can people in the insurance industry engage in scams? Of course they can. But the concept of insurance is not a scam. It's actually a sound principle that provides protection to your family, and also equal importance to the people who may be injured or harmed as a result of something we do. It has nothing to do with intentionality. It has everything to do with being a human being. There's not a single one of us on the planet that don't, on occasion, act in a way that's negligent, unreasonable, careless. We're human beings. We all do that at some point in our life. And when that happens, one of the reasons for insurance is to make sure you've put insurance in play to help another human being, somebody that you may have harmed, to recover, to compensate, That's the purpose. That's not a scam. That's a sound, honest, decent principle. Every one of us, as we go through life, we're faced with a series of challenges and potential obstacles, and more importantly and specifically, we're sometimes faced with situations where we're hurt, we're harmed in a whole variety of ways. In this living our daily life, you can become injured, sometimes catastrophically. When that happens, if that happens, seek the assistance of a lawyer you trust. It makes a difference. It does. If you're in that situation and you need help, give us a call. We can help.